Here are 3 brutal lessons that I've learned from building teams so you don't have to. I was able to take my business from 0 to $1 million in the first 13 months of it being in inception, and then able to take it to an extra 3.2 mil in sales within the next 11 months, just by scaling and really just pushing the team properly. First, I'll walk you through a bit on my journey when it came to actually building sales teams. So I've built 3 sales teams and 4 client success teams, doing interviews, believing this is the right person for the fit, and then training them up, giving them leadership on what I thought was leadership, and then them not hitting metrics, and then for the next 2 to 5 months trying to make sure they hit metrics, and then failing at that, and then having to pivot on the onboard, on the training, on the SOPs. And I did that 2 times over for the sales team and 3 times over for the client success team. And on the 4th time on the client success team, I was able to get it. The biggest kind of thing here is, I'll put you back in that situation. I was probably the most sleep deprived I've been when I was actually building my very first teams. And it was because there was a lot of responsibility when it came to driving cash into the business and also keeping clients successfully. And there wasn't enough talent to be able to do that with the people that we had. I was responsible for actually bringing in all the cash. So I was doing between 6 to 8 sales calls a day to be able to continue to drive revenue into the business, while simultaneously having 2 other reps that were not producing at the level that I needed them to produce. So essentially just burning money. So I was putting money into marketing, putting great prospects on the calendar. And then if I were to take that call, we probably would close, because I was closing at almost 40%. And then our reps were averaging between 8 to 14% closing rates, which is not good for any standard in any business. The biggest issue with this was I didn't actually have a really good process to train people up. It was because my time was getting pulled. So not only was I working on bringing revenue into the business, I also had to review the calls. I wasn't as good of a leader to actually have someone listen to what I was saying and have them execute on it. So I just wasn't delivering those messages right. Being a good operator, a good salesperson is one thing. Being a good leader and manager is a completely different skill that I just didn't have. So the biggest learning lesson in that scenario was I was just super naive to think that I could just hire people that were not trained or wasn't the best candidate, and we'll talk more about that in lesson number 2, and train them up without actually having any previous experience with that. So that was a huge kind of hit to the face to understand that I need to become better as a leader for people to actually follow me, and then for them to actually hit metrics and stay consistently hitting metrics, which was the big issue that I had. And this took 10 months. Like, this learning lesson took me 10 months from 2022, May-ish, all the way till like February 2023 is like when I finally got a glimpse of light at the end of the tunnel doing this. So obviously I was the most sleep deprived I've ever been, probably sleeping between 3 to 5 hours a day for those 10 months, trying to make this work successfully. So that moves us into lesson number 2, which is you can't turn a 3 into a 10. Before, I had no idea that when I was hiring someone, I just hired them because I just liked that they had a good personality or they meshed well. I didn't necessarily look at their resumes super well, and I also didn't look a ton at that past experience, and I didn't really dive deep into the questions to qualify a person to come in and see if they're actually a culture fit. They're gonna work as hard as I need them to grow and expand. What I'm really looking for now is I'm looking for 7s that I can turn into 10s that already have the work ethic, already have the past experience. They wanna be a part of our vision and our mission, versus someone that just, they could get there, but I wasn't a good enough leader at the time to actually train them. And now we don't want to train someone from the ground up like that. We want someone that's already coming in with some experience. So it was a double negative, because not only was I getting people that were not necessarily qualified for the job and I was training them up, my training also sucked. So I was not able to actually get the SOPs put down, the onboarding processes on deck, the trainings, and giving people the proper care and leadership to help them grow. And that's a huge learning lesson, to make sure that you're hiring the right talent to actually help because otherwise it's just going to burn money for you. You're going to work more whenever you hire someone until they're actually ramped up. So just this entire cycle for these 10 months was I was just hiring the wrong people and then having to do their job, and then hiring the next person, then having to do their job, because otherwise revenue was not going to come into the business, because I was the only person that could actually drive revenue in. So that was the learning lesson. And the third one is you have to pour into your team. Everyone says invest into your team, get a good team. But what does that actually mean? Here's a tactical side behind that. It's actually giving one-on-one attention to your team every single week. You are helping them achieve the goals that they shared that they want to hit through your business and your opportunity that you're presenting to them. So what are their goals? What do they like to do? What's the vision that they have? Do you know that? Ask those questions so you can actually help see if your vehicle could actually help them hit these goals. And that's what we do now in the interview process. On top of that, we have awesome onboarding process where we're able to actually share the vision, the mission of the company, so everyone knows what we're actually standing for and what we're trying to do in the world. And then part two, a great training for each position. If it's like sales, client success, if it is marketing. So there's a proper step-by-step process of how to become the best candidate for this role. And it sets them up for success, because when you actually do these one-on-ones, you give the right training, they know what good work looks like. And that's so massive because, again, previously, they didn't even know what good work was. So they thought they were doing good and they weren't until we looked at the metrics. Those are massive, massive important things to actually pour into the team, is by making sure you actually can help them. So those are the biggest 3 lessons that I learned when actually building a team. And remember that failure is a stepping stone for your growth. It is not the end all. It is a stepping stone as long as you learn and you pivot and you improve. All these 3 lessons have made me be in a position where I have an entire sales team that takes calls. They are producing more than when I was doing it on my own. And I have a fulfillment team that's also handling clients as well, better than when I was handling clients, because obviously I can't handle 1,200 clients. We have a team that can do that now. So that allowed me to step out a bit more to focus on improving the product, improving the team, reviewing them, pouring into them, giving them training, and then now also build up the brand. That in itself is the lessons that if I just said, I'm not good at this, I would still be doing sales, I'd still be doing fulfillment with clients. Not that that's not a bad thing, but I wouldn't be able to actually focus on the vision of what we're trying to do, because those things are taken care of now through systems and operations and standard operating procedures, SOPs. Execute on those 3 lessons so you don't have to go through the mistakes that I've done. Comment down below, what are some of your biggest challenges or learning lessons you've had within your business? I'll reply to you and see if I can help.